So we'll start with the concept of present value. The idea is this: payments that are received in the future are worth less to us than payments that are received today. If you think about that, I would rather have the money now and be able to do something with it than get it a year from now. Or alternatively, if I did have that money and I chose not to spend it, but instead invest it, I would expect that that investment would grow over time. So the amount of money I should have 1 year from now should be greater than the amount I have today. So the concept is that future payments need to be discounted back to the present in order to figure out a point of equivalence for an investor. So let's take an example. Let's have a future value where there's a payment of $107 that's going to be received 1 year from now. And for that investor, assume the discount rate is 7%. So how would I calculate the present value, the value in today's terms? I would simply take that future value, which is $107, and divide it by 1 plus the discount rate, or 1 plus R, which is simply 1.07, and that would be worth $100 to me today. So 107 1 year into the future is worth 100 to me today. How about a payment of 107 to be received 2 years from now? So I know that it's received 1 year from now, it's worth only 100. What am I going to do? I'm simply going to discount it at that 7% discount rate for a second year. So I will begin with that present value of 100, that is for a 1 year future dated cash flow, divide that by 1.07, 1 plus my discount rate, and that equals 93.458. Or another way of thinking about that is $107 future value divided by 1 plus the discount rate, 1.07, raised to the power 2, because I'm discounting this for 2 years. That's relatively straightforward if I'm only looking at a single cash flow, but the kinds of investments that we'll be talking about in this class have much more complicated cash flows. We'll be talking about 20 or 30 or sometimes 40 years of cash flow, as well as an upfront investment. And basically, every cash flow or every distribution that's coming to an investor needs to be discounted back to the present in order to figure out a net present value. So in a moment, we'll be opening up the demo model that's contained on this page, and here's what we're going to see. We're going to see something that's divided up into an input section, a calculation section, and an output section. In the input section, here's what we're going to have. We're going to see a discount rate of 10% annually. We're going to see a counter specifying which year we are in, year 0, 1, 2, all the way through 5. And we're going to see a future value, or an amount of cash flow that we are expecting to receive in each of those years. $1,000 in year 1, $1,300 in year 2, $1,500 in year 3. But take special note of what's going to be appearing in year 0, which is expressed as a negative number, 5,000. And what that negative number means is this is a cash outflow from our perspective as an investor, meaning this is what I needed to pay to make that investment, which is going to, over time, pay me $1,000, $1,300, $1,500, the schedule that you see in the input section. Next, what we'll do is we will together create some calculations. The first calculation we're going to do is simply the discount factor. You'll recall that that discount factor, that denominator used for discounting a future value to the present, is simply 1 plus R raised to the power 1 if it's 1 year discounting, 2 to 2 year discounting, raised to the 5th power if that cash flow is 5 years in the future. So we're going to calculate a discount factor along each line. Next, what we're going to do is figure out what is the present value, the value in today's terms, in year 0, of a $1,000 cash flow 1 year in the future, of a $1,300 cash flow 2 years in the future, simply by dividing that future value that appears on the inputs line by the discount factor that we're going to calculate. And then what are we going to do in the output section? We are simply going to take the sum of all of those present values in order to figure out what is the net present value of this investment if we were to make it today. So let's open up the demo file and practice using these formulas.